The hunt is everything.
Welcome to Higher Level Gaming. I'm Rob, and Borderlands 3 releases in just a short couple of weeks. So we've gone ahead and gathered all the best and most pertinent news regarding the game for a few videos. Now this first story that we're doing, of course because we're a politics heavy channel, has to do with a little controversy related to the game, or rather something that a lot of people have taken notice of. And specifically, it has to do with one of the newest characters to the Borderlands universe, and one of the newest 3 Vault Hunters, FL4K. FL4K is a robot hunts person, the Beastmaster class, and therefore has 3 pet companions that are going to be able to assist you in battle, and they're 3 species from Pandora. The 3 pets that FL4K has with him are a Jabber, a Spider Ant, and a Skag. Now, the Spider Ant and the Skag I remember distinctly from Borderlands 2. Those were 2 of the most common wildlife enemies. But the controversy to do with the character is that apparently FL4K identifies as neither a man nor a woman, and their pronouns that they use are they and them pronouns. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, this is a gender identity, and apparently FL4K is evolved beyond being simply a man or a woman, or gender was just never included in their design specifications in the first place. And that's fine. Everyone should be okay with that, and it seems like, to be fair, everyone is okay with that. I mean, they aren't a person after all, but a robot. It makes sense, actually, like a lot of sense. Well, people who thought of them more as a man and went around calling them a man in the Borderlands forums found themselves confronted with a warning regarding gendering the character. One of the moderators said referring to FL4K as he instead of they is offensive and can lead to a ban because it violates the rules on hate speech. Now, I'm looking at an article by GamesPressure.com here, and it goes more into the details, and it says here, according to the aforementioned moderator, the rules imposed by the devs on the forums also cover racist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic behavior. Iron Fury devs, you might want to consider adopting those same rules. This should not surprise anyone, as that is a common practice on many other internet websites. I mean, again, Iron Fury. However, the greatest commotion was caused by the misrepresented information about bans for users who refer to FL4K as he. While the intentional use of an inappropriate pronoun will actually lead to the blocking of the account, random instances will not result in a ban. FL4K's pronouns are they, them. You are not forced to change your beliefs or viewpoint, but we are clarifying and confirming that this is how the character is written, and as such should be referred to. Please remember that this forum's rules include not attacking others for their beliefs. So I assume what they mean by that is you're not allowed to misgender and therefore attack FL4K's beliefs, which is interesting because FL4K isn't a real person, but let's just not worry about that part. Another interesting thing about FL4K is that FL4K isn't actually just one entity, it's an artificial intelligence that's not only in control of the character robot body that you play as if you choose this Vault Hunter, but also in control of the 3 companion animals. Honestly, I think this is kind of like Gearbox putting on the kiddie wheels for gamers. Like, some gamers, they still can't handle non-binary people in real life and in the gaming community. So Gearbox is, trying to teach you not to be dicks online. And they're starting with imaginary robots, and honestly, it'll probably be easier to get gamers to respect this robot than an actual non-binary person, but I think that's maybe why the Borderlands team decided to create a non-binary character, is to kind of spread awareness about the fact that some people, some entities identify as non-binary. Yes, it's a robot, obviously, and so he has no gender identity, and also they're not a real person, so they possess no identity whatsoever to actually speak of. And if I'm being honest, I kind of feel like a robot character is a weird way for Gearbox to try to go about this issue. Honestly, at first, I thought this was like that cyberpunk "did you just assume my gender" tweet on Twitter where they were like making fun of people and their gender identities. I thought this was like some kind of Gearbox humor going on here, but nope, it's very real and they seem to be very genuine about this, which is good. It's weird that this is how Gearbox is handling non-binary discussion, because it's like the most around-the-bend way to make people more aware of the harm of misgendering, but this is all around a good thing they're doing. Hey, make the man-children talk nice to your video game characters. Maybe they'll start to be more nice IRL. It's worth a fucking try, right? Now, I know I might be coming off a bit aggressive, but people spreading transphobia and that kind of thing, or getting mad at this, are no less aggressive. And I'm disappointed. Disappointed that every time something like this happens, it seems to be 99% of gamers just want to hurl around the term SJW and slurs, and it kind of just quickly devolves into slinging mud in each other's faces and hate speech. One person said in the comments of where I found this article on N4G, "You can't sneeze without upsetting people nowadays," which is hilarious because, I mean, they're just trying to raise awareness. They're not actually upset at you. Nobody's mad at you for misgendering flack, but you are going to have to play by the rules, which means having some common decency. And it's really easy to say that as a cis white dude, or even just a cis person in general in this case, because let's be honest, minority communities aren't really any better when it comes to these LGBTQ issues. It's not all intolerant white men who are homophobic. Trans people and people who don't subscribe to the LGB part of the LGBTQ are much more likely to be faced with ire too. One famous trans right-winger on YouTube even doesn't believe in non-binary people and also hates them because they believe that non-binary people are just confusing the general public and making it harder for trans people, which is yeah, of course people are confused and maybe that makes it harder for you to convince people that you're a trans woman but a woman still, but that doesn't mean you can trample over non-binary people's rights to their own identity. The world is not that woke. Even gay people still take a lot of discrimination. A famous case was 2 lesbian women who were assaulted by men on the bus going home, and I believe that was in the past year. If you don't realize how not respecting people's gender identity and sexual orientation can lead to these kinds of violent acts against homosexual people, you're either being willfully ignorant or, I'm sorry to say this, a bit fucking stupid. It's really stupid to believe that people will stop at words when these kinds of anti-anything but the normies conversations happen. I remember a couple years back, I met a woman on the bus here in Los Angeles who wasn't trans, but she had somewhat masculine features, and she was a homeless lady, and she told me she was jumped by a group of drunk guys who were screaming faggot at her as they beat her. These were men who were so convinced she was different that they therefore beat the living shit out of her. This is not okay, and this is a very common thing. And people like to act like it's 2019 and this doesn't exist, and people on the right like to act like other things like Nazis don't exist, but Nazis and people who literally bash homosexuals are not a myth, they're very real. And this is the reality that some people who are likely not like you have to deal with. So maybe you can just not be an asshole. Please? Just call the robot what they theoretically want to be called and be done with it. This has been a Higher Level Gaming video. Go play some video games and stay safe out there, guys.